Hello, my friend. In this video, I'm going to show you why you should always finish, mix, master, and export your demos, especially when you aren't digging where the direction is going and you don't feel like it's actually going to be a song worth pursuing. So this is a bit of a follow-up video to the video that I released last week, where I discussed how you can create as many demos as quickly as possible and why you need to export those demos as quickly as possible as well. So although I do believe that that is great advice, I noticed in my own experience, I have a bit of a story to share here, but that's great advice when the song that you're working on is great and you're really loving the momentum, you're crushing everything. Like as you're building it out, you're like, this is going to be an amazing song. You're really vibing with it. I feel like it's super, maybe not easy, but it's a lot easier to have the motivation to finish that song, mix it, master it, export it in a demo format as quickly as possible when you're really vibing with it like that. But what happens when you're working on a track and you're kind of like, I don't think this is working. I don't like where this is going. I'm probably not going to release it. This is total garbage. I should just move on. So that's what happened to me pretty much right after I made that song that I was showing you in the last video. I was working on a track and I was really not liking where it was going at all. I was trying, I guess, something a little bit more unique, where instead of following like a proper song structure like I've shown in previous videos, I had an interesting long vocal, and I was trying to morph the arrangement to follow this kind of spoken word, kind of interesting vocal part. And that kind of introduced a lot of challenges and made it seem a little bit weird. And I definitely went down that rabbit hole of thinking, this isn't something I'm going to want to release. This is crap. I don't really know why I'm working on this. I should stop this as soon as possible, move on to some new ideas. And honestly, I really didn't like that feeling. It felt like I wasted a bunch of time. There wasn't anything I learned from it. There wasn't anything I could adapt moving forward. And that really kind of got me thinking. And that's why we're here in today's video, because I think there's an important lesson to share here. So when you, like me, are in that moment, when you're working on a song and you don't think it's going anywhere, you don't think it's worth finishing and exporting and all that, because it's definitely not going to be worth your time, why should you try to push through and finish that arrangement and then mix it, master it really quickly, and export it into an audio file as a demo so you can listen back to it later if you know you're going to hate it? And upon reflecting on this, I found that there's three key points here. One is simply that you're going to feel a bit more accomplished as an artist. So in that story there, it does have a happy ending because I did push through and finish and exported it. And even though I wasn't in love with the song, I did feel a bit more accomplished because I didn't spend all that time working on a song. It's a couple days working on a song, and just, it was all gone. And I wasn't going to open the project file, and I had a negative thought in my head, never going to open that one again, you know. I actually turned it into an audio file that I could listen to later. So there's a little bit of some fulfillment in there, which is motivational as an artist, I'm not going to lie. Second is that I found that having it in an audio file format, it makes it a lot easier to revisit that song later so that you can maybe improve on it, or maybe realize that you were a bit too hard in the moment. You were listening it too much and too often. You kind of got ear fatigue and started to dislike it or something. And maybe when you listen back to it later, maybe there's a part or a drum part or a cool bass line that you feel like you can take. I think this is important because when it's in an audio file, it's a lot easier for you to access that, as opposed to, say, opening up the project file again, waiting for it to load, seeing that project name that you kind of associated with such a bad time, not wanting to open it, waiting for all that. With an audio format, you can quickly load it up, listen back to it, and then maybe be surprised with what you hear. And third, which kind of ties into number one, is that it trains you to be a song finisher and not just a song starter. So by actually pushing forward and finishing every song or most songs that you start, it's kind of just training you to be someone who completes songs. You're a songwriter. You're not just a loop creator or an idea creator or someone who lets songs beat you down. You're someone who always finishes your tracks. And by having that mentality, by actually doing it on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis, you're going to actually become a song finisher. And I think that's super important for so many reasons. Again, like I mentioned in that first video, because the more demos you have, the more releases you'll be able to put out. The more releases you put out, the more you'll be able to have opportunities to grow and push your music forward. So it's important to become a song finisher. So with that said, there are 3 steps that I want you to keep in your mind when you are trying to push through a song that you aren't loving that much, but you should try to get it exported and somewhat finished. The first is to push to the 80% mark of that song, or the very least, get the song arranged. If you don't know what the 80% mark is, it kind of follows the Pareto's principle, the 20-80 rule. It is the fourth step in the 5-step song finishing checklist, which is a free resource that I have available. There'll be a link to it in the description below. Essentially, it is the 5 steps that I follow each time that I'm creating demos and finishing songs. It's why I'm able to create new demos every single week and release a fully finished, proper release every single month. Finishing songs is super important. So if finishing songs is important to you, make sure you check that out. So that's step 1. Get your song to that 80% mark as quickly as possible. And then step 2, you're going to want to move quickly into step 5, which is to do a quick mix, master, and export that song out. And then 3, which is super important, is you're going to want to give yourself a little bit of space and make sure you do set some time to listen back to it, maybe a day later or in some different environments. Maybe take a walk and listen to it, which is what I did, and see what comes from that. So in this example, I remember I was talking to my housemate, Wojtek, and I was working on the song, and then he was asking me how it was going, and I kind of mentioned what I said at the start of this video, where it's like, it was going terrible, I didn't like it, all this. And he was like, oh, that sucks. And then I remember kind of that talk made me feel like I should try to find something positive in it, which is why I then exported the song and finished it. And then a few hours later, I think I went on a walk and listened to the song and relaxed a bit, and then like having that time away from it and the ability to listen to it in a different environment, I was able to like really notice that, yo, this isn't that bad. It's a pretty sweet song. I think I could finish it. And that spark came back, and I was able to go back, finish that song, and now I'm quite happy with it. And I'm saving it not for just a Spotify self-release. I'm actually saving it for a proper record label. I'm going to get some distribution on this one, I think, because I actually really like it that much. So those are the 3 steps. Make sure you also grab that 5-step song finishing checklist as well before you do. I think that'll be good to have with you and in the back of your mind. And then when you move forward from this video and actually start working on songs, you're going to find that pretty freaking useful. So now you should have both a solid understanding of why you should push yourself to finish and export your songs as quickly as possible, even if you are not liking where it's going. And 2, you should have a somewhat of an idea of what it looks like when someone else is pushing through this process. And when you do give yourself some time, it might not always end up in a situation where a few days later you work on it and you're really excited about what happens, but it could be something where at least you can look back on it. At least maybe you can get a spark for a new idea, or maybe get the idea to take something from that. You never know. And either way, it's going to make you a song finisher and not just a song starter. Other than that, good luck finishing your songs. Good luck on your next release. If you like this video, like and subscribe, but mostly I just hope you finish some songs and release them. So with that said, have a good one, my friend. Bye.